thank you so much, all three of you guys, for being here. We're going to keep this an interactive session, and then I'm going to hope, given that this entire audience is female, that we have a lot of questions to ask at the end. So my first question is for you, Sadia. How can gaming be a force for social impact, particularly for women? How are you applying your knowledge and expertise in the gaming field and helping women with your expertise in this sector?
Thank you, Alina. Hi, everyone. Video game is one of the most powerful medium when it comes to education, social impact, because it's one of the biggest industry which is like being, the consumer are so high, it's consumed by everyone, accessible to most of the people. But even if it's not accessible to the people, the games have a powerful impact on our imagination, our learning. And that I did it with my works. I want to share a little bit about social impact. The games has been for a long time used for learning, and I can see the rise in EdTech in Pakistan as well. But the social impact, game can be used for different aspects and purposes. And for women, I would like to share some of the things that we did with the women in Nigeria. We taught women in Nigeria about breastfeeding and child nutrition using a video games to the women who has never been used any mobile phone or any smartphones or any digital gadgets. And we were able to conduct a research on this game where it performed significantly better than any verbal teaching method. So imagine if women in Nigeria who has never been used any technology or familiar with technology can use a game and learn better than any verbal teaching method, what kind of impact video games can do for women and their health and education and social impact field.
No, that's amazing. And because you did it through gaming, maybe more people were able to adapt to it and learn faster because they use it more, it's more interactive than maybe teaching them through books, right? Is that the concept behind it?
So the concept is, so video games itself cannot become impactful until unless you put efforts to make it impactful. And when you are talking to women and their health and their problems, then you have to design for them. So it was impactful because we designed for those women. The stories were used in, and the visuals we used in the game, we localized for their local women and their community so that they were relatable to them. They could relate to that game. They could relate their problems as a mother, young mothers in Nigeria, to those issues, and then they could find the solution in the game. And that's why it was more impactful and was very, very successful in teaching those close group people that we did the research on.
Sure. So designing for women in particular is a big thing. So Jahanara, moving on to yourself, I personally am so grateful for Jahanara's work in Catalyst Labs. For those who you don't know, Catalyst Labs एक बहुत बड़ी conference होती है I think it's every year, right?
Yes.
Every year, and it brings all of the startups जो tech में काम कर रहे हैं together. When I first started my startup in Pakistan, it was a great network and ecosystem for me to be a part of. So I personally am very grateful to Jahanara. So special shout out to her.
Thank you.
So Zartaj has spoken about, building for women. I want to continue with that theme. How do you think that you have, structurally implemented some, changes within Catalyst or your organization to provide support and pillars for women?
Okay, thank you, Alina. The thing is that one of my pet peeves for a number of years has been that I meet a lot of very intelligent women, professional women who are doing amazing work, and yet they're not recognized, and they somehow get stuck at mid-management level. They don't rise to the top, so they're not at board level, they're not CEOs of companies, and there's no reason for it, except the fact that the opportunity is not provided for them, except for the fact that there are hurdles put in the way. So my work at Catalyst Labs over the last 3.5 years has been to work with cohorts of women who are at mid-management level and to build not only their capacity, but also to build their confidence that there is no reason they cannot rise to the top. Because it's that initial lack of confidence that keeps them from actually pursuing something higher within the organizations where they are, or if they are if they've started their own companies, to be able to take those companies much further. So there are a lot of organizations we work with who support us, and then there are a lot of people within our ecosystem, both men and women, who work with us to make sure that difference comes about. And one of the interesting things we are always, especially me, I'm always talking about what the government is not doing. But one of the things that the government has done is that the Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan has said that no listed company should not have, every listed company should have at least one woman on their board. And you know what happens when companies are asked to do that? They said, we can't have one woman on the board. Where are the women? There are not enough women for us to put on the board. So I'll tell you later how we tackled that. But just food for thought, that when somebody says it can't be done, you should come up with a solution.
Thank you, Jahanara. So coming up, following Jahanara's theme, Zartaj, on making sure that we build within our businesses and that there is some biases or something stopping us from moving from middle management to the top. What systematic biases do you feel there is against women, particularly in the STEM field, because you're in that space?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question, Alina. So if I start off, because I'm an educationist, I'll tell you that it starts from very young, right? In schools, right? You read these stories where there are boys fixing bikes, girls building Lego dolls, and boys building cars out of Lego blocks. I think it starts in that age when we maybe not really deliberately are putting that in the minds of our children, that, okay, there are certain things that only girls can do and certain things that only boys can do. I happen to coach robotics teams. I'm an international judge as well, and I go to international robotics events where there are teams now emerging which are only girls' teams building robots, fixing stuff, programming. In Pakistan, what in my capacity I'm doing, so I'm the national organizer for World Robot Olympiad in Pakistan, and before coming to this opportunity, I have been coaching robotics teams of kids and taking them to international competitions. What I struggle with always is to convince parents that your girls can code as well. Being attached to educational institutions has given me that position and perspective as well to help parents, to help colleagues who are boys of these girls understand that yes, girls can code and they can program and they can fix a robot if need be. In my capacity, what I'm doing is I'm trying to encourage this. It's not only not coming from parents. I think more work needs to be done from homes, where I am myself a mother of a son, and I coach him in that manner, and I try to change that mind of his, which is to, okay, his sister cannot do certain things. So I think it starts from home, and these biases need to be addressed everywhere, even in schools, educational institutions. So, and this then, if you go to a workplace, it becomes like, okay, maybe working under a female boss is not looked at something which is good. So I happened in my career, because I'm a software engineer, I happened to be in situations where I was the female boss. I had my whole team of male colleagues, I would say. And it was, even if we had a very good relationship, they would be, in a setting where they are sitting with other male colleagues, they would be questioned, oh, you have a female boss, how does that feel, right? So it has to change at a lot of levels, and this is the kind of things that we generally face.
Thank you, Zartaj. So I'm just going to open, the floor up to all three of our panelists and just have a discussion on a larger scale. Jahanara, you spoke about middle management, you mean कि they get to senior manager or senior manager के beyond वो CEO नहीं बन सकती. ये क्यों होता है? Let's discuss that. What do you three think, and why does this happen?
So in my opinion, it happens first because in the home or at university, they are told that there are certain positions, as Zartaj said, for women, that are good for women, that women are capable of. So that you know, the confidence that they need at that stage, they don't have, because they've already been programmed that, you know, this is what women do and this is the position which they can reach. So I think the way that this is being addressed by multiple organizations is something that I want to talk about. So there is an organization called Women for Boards, and this comprises of a lot of people, both not a lot of people, but a group of about 7 or 8 experienced people, both men and women, who have decided that we're going to tackle this issue. So what they've done is that they have put together a directory of initially about 150 women who are both qualified, competent, and certified. They have passed exams that PICG has, the Pakistan Institute of Corporate Governance, so that they are qualified to be on the boards of any of these companies. So when somebody says, oh, we can't find the women, we send them a copy of the directory, now electronic, of course. Hey, pick one of these. And they're from all verticals. They're from technology companies, they're from retail, they're from any sector that you can think about. So that excuse that they have that we can't find the women is done away with.
That's amazing. So you've actually taken a problem and also not only found a solution for it, but implemented it as well. So that taking it all the way to the end. So Sadia, what do you think? Like, why do women, okay, one is what Janara ne kaha ke we don't believe कि हम यकीन नहीं करते, we don't believe कि we can get to the CEO levels, और ये belief system हमें तोड़ना चाहिए कि हम कर सकते हैं. And I think कि अगर हम, if we see female role models like, you know, Zartaj, Sadia, Jahanara, and put them on places like these panels where other young girls can see themselves in a similar position. एक issue ये भी आता है कि young girls don't see role models, right? What do you guys think? What's your personal opinions on this?
So I think for video game industry, it's slightly more challenging. It's not about just middle management. It's also like getting women into game industry.
Yeah.
Like it's a whole biased about, and it's not the biased. I wouldn't say that like everybody created this bias. It's a global thing. Like women getting, the whole global industry struggle to get women in the game industry. We try to push for diversity. We try to have equivalent job opportunities for women as well. But throughout the gaming industry as a global has been dominated by men mostly. So, but there's a lot of efforts that has been happening. But in Pakistan, I think looking at, in my experience, whenever we meet women, women often have a question, can we get into this industry? Because in the studios, in the places where they want to get the jobs, there are not enough female in the job studios. They don't see a lot of females in this, and that they make them a little bit you know, maybe shy or maybe less confident to be in this industry. And within this industry, I would say that women do have, since we have such a diverse industry, women often get very scared to get into the roles of like coding and more complex roles. But I would say that by giving them more opportunity and exposure to be around the mentors who has been and you know, accomplish these journeys, be in a field of game industry, being in the, as a programmer in the game industry, give them more sense of understanding their journey and a support system that has to be there. Otherwise, even for myself, I don't think so I could have accomplished anything without the support of mentors. It was, I often felt underconfident for doing so many things that I had skills to do, I knew I could do, but I used to feel so underconfident that at many places, and I still feel that I still have support of mentors to go anywhere I do need, and it's a constant support of mentorship that actually got me where I am today. And so for the other young women that who want to get into the game industry, they need to look up for the mentors, they need to talk, and I do offer support as a free mentorship calls. Some just don't ghost me on the conference, on the mentorship call, but they can always call me and talk to me and I can guide them. But this is something that need to be done. Women do find it difficult to get into game industry or see a role or place for themselves, but I think it's time for them to jump in and just experience. I know it's going to be a difficult ride, but it's really worthwhile. You should. So
it's once again, it's the theme that women need to believe in themselves. That's what you're also seeing in your field.
And to be able to find the right mentor to help you through the journey, because it's very important.
Sure. I also don't want to forget about Danyal, who's our AI panelist. So I'm going to ask him the same question, then I'll get your opinion as well on it, Sartaj. Hi, Daniel, can you hear us?
Hi, Alina. Yes, I can.
Okay, great. I wanted to ask your opinion on why do women not reach C-suite, higher positions in their companies or in their careers? What do you think is stopping women reaching higher levels of success?
That's an important question. Alina, several factors can contribute to this challenge, including 1. Systemic barriers, implicit biases and corporate cultures that may not fully support women's advancement. 2. Work-life balance, the struggle to balance personal responsibilities and career ambitions. 3. Lack of mentorship, fewer networking and mentorship opportunities compared to their male counterparts. 4. Confidence gap. Some women may hesitate to apply for promotion opportunities due to self-doubt. Addressing these barriers is essential for empowering women to reach those C-suite roles.
Thank you, Daniel. Next, we'll have robots in our house. This is very trippy.
You're welcome. Alina, if you have any more questions or need further assistance,
it's muted now.
feel free to ask.
Okay, I've muted him now. Great. A round of applause for Daniel.
Yeah. So Alina, I just wanted to add what you said about not showcasing enough of the successes that already exist. I think that's something we need to do. So, we've had people like Musharraf Hai, who has led Unilever for many years as its chairperson. How many of the people in this room or in Pakistan know about her? Because we don't talk about her enough. We have Maheen Rahman, who's running Infrazamin, which is an infrastructure company. She has been in financial investment and all of that. Who talks about her? So I think we need to be talking about these women who have done well, who have struggled, who have created for themselves the opportunities that now have taken them to the top. So we need to showcase these women, because when young girls are going to university or are picking careers, they can see, look, I can be Maheen, or I can be Musharraf, or I can be, Alina, or I can be Zartaj, because they see that it has happened. So those showcasing these people is extremely important. And I think one of the things that keeps us from getting ahead is that women don't have a business network.
Yeah.
That is one of the sad realities that we have, that we don't have enough of a business network so that we cannot discuss with each other the opportunities that may be around us but we don't know about.
Yeah.
So now things have started to change in the sense that, so Catalyst Labs makes sure that we create a business network from the cohorts that we have. Maheen has set up, along with another young woman, Sadia, a women in business lunch that happens every month, where women get together and talk about what they're doing and how they can collaborate. So I think there are different people who have come up with initiatives that will change the status quo, and that's very important.
100%, 100% agreed. So Zartaj, I want to take a different question, or pivot a little bit, and talk about why is financial independence for women even important, right? So I think एक क्वेश्चन आता है पाकिस्तान में particularly when I moved here कि I would go on and talk about women need to be in leadership roles, women need to be CEOs, and some of the girls in the room would be like, actually हमने शादी करनी है, हमने तो काम नहीं करना, and then they're like ये तो easy route है, and then the discussion goes on to find out why financial independence even in marriage is important. Like, even why do we even need to do this? Why do we even need to work and make our own money? So it'd be good to get your experience share on that.
Sure, I think that's a very important question. I feel that financial independence and even being able to negotiate salaries, right? Having that confidence to talk about money is very important. I have been, as I said, associated with educational institutions where women and sometimes men are even not comfortable having that money discussion with their employers. You don't feel that confident. I feel that the negotiation skills are very important, particularly when it comes to discussing your salaries or even negotiating a deal with an investor. I've been part of the startup ecosystem as well, and I've been part of 3 major startup incubators, one being NIC Karachi. The first program I did was Standard Chartered Women in Tech, and that has taught me how to confidently speak, not only with investors, but I have learned a lot of confidence. Although my field was tech, I'm a software engineer, and I didn't know jack about numbers. But throughout these programs, I think it's very, very important for women to know how to talk about that. And I think I have attended a training which was about how to work out finances and was geared towards women. So that is very, very important. And this is because whenever you're in a room with your male counterparts or someone, maybe an investor who's a male, they want to test you more, so as compared to your male counterparts. And I see a nod over there, which means it resonates with a lot of females sitting over here. In my capacity, I try to encourage, I try to guide women who are part of my team, encourage them to understand negotiation. And obviously, putting anything out there, for example, if you're negotiating a salary, putting an amount out there, kya hoga zyada? It'll be denied, that's okay. With zero expectation, shoot out those big numbers, say it. Zyada kya hoga, nahi hoga, right? But you would know, but sometimes it happens, so you get lucky as well. I think it's very important, financial literacy for women, even if you're sitting at home. As a female, just one point to add, you become mothers as well. You are a mother to a son maybe and to a daughter. You have to train both of them. You have to train your son to respect your future wife and your future daughters, to be able to work, to encourage them to work. I've taught my son to develop patience crocheting. So he crochets, but when he went on and told that to his friends, I hope he's not listening right now, he was like, Mom, everybody makes fun of me. And I was like, no, they say that it's a girl's thing to do. And I was like, no, it develops patience, because when that thread gets stuck, so, you have to coach your sons, your daughters as a mother. And if you're a working woman in the business, you have to coach your team to accept this fact that yes, women are there to excel and to reach new heights, better heights, which they are capable of equally. Thank you.
So if I may add, what Zartaj says makes total sense. But I think one of the reasons that women need jobs and need to make money, there are 2 reasons. One, financial independence is very important. Secondly, in this day and age with inflation, one salary is just not enough, especially for a middle class family. It is not enough. And so instead of the man stressing out continuously about how he's going to make ends meet, if the woman is also working, then they help each other, right?
100%.
And also, so no job is a man's job or a woman's job. I have 3 brothers, all of them cook, and they love to cook. So I don't think that we should identify jobs as being gender related. They have to be what needs to be done at that particular time. Secondly, I think in addition to the fact that you need the money, women, when they earn, invest in the right things. They invest in their children's education, in their children's health. You see women spending money on all the right things. That doesn't mean men do not, but most women are more careful because they feel that that money is being invested in the future of their family. So I think that's extremely important.
100%.
Everybody's really added a very amazing points. But I just want to highlight this one thing. I often feel that myself and other women do feel this way sometimes, that everybody, we do job for initially, the first thing is survival, right? Food, house, living, eating, and all that. And if sometimes we think that, if we have done that, this is enough for us, but this should not be enough for us. because women should think beyond survival. We should be able to earn big money, to be able to think more, investment, starting our own businesses. We should be able to think bigger, because that's not, and this should not be gender based. Like, only men should not be thinking to building a house, to building, getting an apartment, or getting a shop, or starting a small business. This is when you earn big, when you reach higher positions, when you reach for the C-level corporate jobs, or whatever your dream is. Not everybody is dreaming for corporate job, maybe starting a business. That means you would be looking to earn more money, and more money that is beyond survival. That is, that you can invest in, and then you can educate yourself about how to manage finances, and then you should be able to work on yourself to seek and to be at those levels, on your skills, on your leadership, on your all kind of skills that is need for you to go higher in your position and earn more money. And you should not be ashamed of that. Women should be able to earn more money, and way more money than men, I guess.
100%. I think like all of these aspects and points are extremely important. On Janara's point where, 2-income household is better, but even in the household where, for example, I'll add one point where the man can earn and can provide. I think even in all marriages, there's a dynamic, power dynamic, right? If he earns all the money, he controls everything. We have to give our hands for the money and ask for pocket money because we need money to survive. So I also think it's also financial independence is important for ensuring that we have some say and a voice in the marital relationship as well, right? No matter, even in the households where someone can be earning so much more, right? Okay, I think the last theme I would like to discuss is on social impact. And I'll start off with you, Sadia, and we can talk about what is, what has your experience been with social impact? And you did a lot of work in Africa as well. So, and how have you applied that to women?
I've been always a gamer from my childhood. I played a lot of games, but that was used to be like, general game people play, shooting game, racing game, and all that. My first interaction about understanding how games can be used tool for social impact when I was doing my final year project. We made this game for cancer patients to motivate them, and that game was supposed, with the research, it was proven that if cancer patients can see visually and graphically that they can kill their tumors and their cancer in their body, it actually helped them get better recovery than the people who don't see those kind of visual aid for that. And that was like kind of a life-changing experience for me, because understanding that how games can have such a powerful impact on somebody's life, it was a great learning. Over the years, I just worked in game studios making normal games, and eventually I did understand that if I just keep doing that, I won't be able to really learn how to make more impact with the games. So I started my own company, and we started organizing this social impact game jam that we started in 2016. It was with the Game Impact Paris, and the theme was peace. And with a bunch of people in the room, they made game on peace, that how we can build peace through games. And they come up with the ideas which included the power distribution, the water distribution issues, the housing and replacements, and including how our news and the words we use in our journalism, and what kind of words, using of words and their impact on our general audience. And that was a very amazing experience, looking at what kind of imaginative, and these are the people building for themselves. They are people who are bringing these ideas, and I could not even think about these things, that how these games and these kind of things can create such a powerful impact on peace. And that was the first time that we started working on more on social impact. And then the game I talked about is called Baby Thrive, that we actually did a proper 3-year research study in Nigeria. Baby Thrive is a game to teach teenage mothers in Nigeria about child nutrition health and breastfeeding practices because of the high mortality rate of infants in Nigeria. And there was a program that we used the content with UNICEF and IYCF content that is already taught in Nigeria. And in parallel to that, we did a group study where we created a game designed specially for those women in their language, Hausa. And that study proved that our game taught those women better than actual verbal teaching method they've been practicing for so long in Nigeria. And that is the game. Our game went into a clinical trials for 8 months in Nigeria. And after 8 months, we have published our research. It's on a JMIR, very highly rated journal. And the research state everything that we worked on. But the thing is that the games as a powerful medium and a tool, and especially for helping women through the games, is one of the biggest achievement that I feel that I've done. I really get goosebumps when every time I tell about what kind of impact our game has made, because those are the women we talk to. Those are the women we have taken interviews before making games. Those are women we did study and research on. And imagine that was just a bunch of 200 and 300 women that we did the research on. But imagine if this is accessible for all the women in the world. And the women who has no access to the learning and in a digital world, they don't have access to this learning. But if it can be available to those women, even in Pakistan, I see a lot of women has less education about their own hygiene, their menstrual health, their maternal health, child health. We don't have that good education. And women and games can be used in all the platforms, in all the fields, and especially for women in Pakistan as well.
So Zertaj, I would love to ask you the same questions for you to apply it to AI and robotics. How do you encourage young women to pursue AI and robotics and get more women into the first part of the stream?
Right, so in terms of education and robotics education, as I mentioned, that I've been coaching robotics teams. As an educator, I used to encourage girls to start programming, learning about it. I have been heading the ICT and robotics department at Haq Academy, and I've been associated with them since 2010. In my capacity, when I started the first STEM Education Institute of Pakistan by the name of Robotics Labs, I tried my best to encourage girls to come into coding, and young, like 5-6-year-old girls to start building robots, which were cars and stuff, and learn about programming. For social impact, if I look at the way World Robot Olympiad in question, for example, there is a category called Future Innovators, which is a competition category where the kids build a robotic solution around the season's theme, but it is connected to one of the problems that we're facing in the world. For example, this year's theme is Earth Allies, and the students have to research about how robots can work in harmony with nature. And so, when you research, when you encourage students to think about problems around them or something that connects with them, it has a big impact for them to see the world in a different way, rather than us as educators telling them, oh, this is how it is. I feel that gives them a lot of opportunity to explore the world around them. In terms of encouraging girls, we don't only talk to girls, but we talk to their parents as well to help them pursue STEM fields and robotics. In terms of girls and women, I am also a teacher trainer, and I am currently working with Kiran Foundation. Earlier, I've worked with City School in the capacity of a training consultant. And I was training these teachers who are teaching core subjects like English, math, social studies. And my objective is to finish that fear of using technology and AI or robotics. I am training teachers on learning how to code because I strongly believe that it develops logical thinking. And these teachers are now training their students on coding. So now imagine that these teachers haven't learned it as part of their own education, but they're learning it and then teaching it to students. The bigger part of it is for them to learn how to troubleshoot or guide a student when they get stuck. So that takes most time. But I feel that this is so much empowering for those educators to gain confidence as well. I'm particularly very honored to work with the women of Liari as part of Kiran Foundation. And I just feel that working with them makes me feel that it is just the difference of resources and direction that I'm giving them. Otherwise, they're equally talented, equally intelligent, and their students are too. So I think this is, in my small capacity, the contribution that I'm making to encourage these teachers, to encourage their female students as well, because they have broken that barrier or that fear. They've come across that fear of using technology in their classrooms. So I think that is something we all need to contribute with in our own capacities to encourage the girls, aspiring girls, to come into tech.
Thank you, Zartaj. I'm also just going to ask Daniel the same question to see what he thinks as well. Hi, Daniel.
I hope he hasn't slept.
Hi, Alina. What's on your mind?
My question is, how do we encourage young women to pursue careers in AI and robotics?
Great question. Alina, to encourage young women to pursue careers in AI and robotics, we can 1. Role models. Highlight successful women in these fields to inspire the next generation. 2. Education and workshops. Offer hands-on coding and robotics workshops specifically designed for young women. 3. Mentorship programs. Create mentorship opportunities where experienced professionals can guide and support young women. 4. Awareness campaigns. Promote the potential and impact of AI and robotics through school programs and social media. 5. Inclusive environments. Foster supportive and inclusive learning environments that celebrate diversity in tech. By providing encouragement and resources, we can help young women feel empowered to enter these exciting fields.
Thank you, Daniel. Daniel, one more question for you.
Of course, Alina, what's your question? Absolutely.
How can we use AI to promote gender equality in the workplace?
Using AI to promote gender equality in the workplace can be transformative. Here are some ways to implement it. 1. Bias detection. AI can analyze job descriptions and hiring practices to identify and eliminate gender bias in recruitment processes. 2. Data analytics. AI can assess pay disparities and employee progression across gender lines, helping organizations understand and address inequities. 3. Employee engagement. AI-driven chatbots or platforms can gather anonymous feedback on workplace culture and suggest improvements to create a more inclusive environment. 4. Personalized development. AI can tailor professional development programs for women, helping them gain the skills needed to advance in their careers. 5. Mentorship matching. AI can match women with mentors within the organization based on interests and career goals, promoting networking and support. By leveraging AI thoughtfully, companies can create a more equitable workplace for everyone.
Thank you, Danielle. We're going to open up the floor if anyone has any questions for the last 12 or 13 minutes that we have. Okay, so the first audience question we have is, what responsibility do men hold as the privileged group in our society to promote female empowerment?
Who do you want to answer?
Whoever wants to answer that question. Go ahead, Zartaj.
So I think men have a very important role to play. I think I would not have been able to achieve what I have without the support that I got from my family. So my father encouraged me to pursue any kind of education I wanted. But he did say that I don't have to get a bad report card home. But he did allow me that initially. And, you know, in schools, we see that a 14-year-old is expected to select subjects. That's a very early age to think about your careers. So I think as parents, we can encourage our girls to pursue whatever they feel that they can do. But in order for them to think in this direction where they can pursue a STEM field, I think it has to do with the kind of opportunities and exposure that you give to your daughters. So as fathers, as brothers, as male teachers, there's a lot of support that is required where you can set aside that bias and provide the girls that you interact with, the women that you interact with, that support that, yes, you can do it. I think even saying this means a lot in terms of support. So I feel that's one thing that I would say.
Sure.
May I add to this? I think men have a major responsibility simply because they are the primary people in leadership roles in organizations and even within the home. So they have to play a role. So if you're a leader in an organization, make sure that you set some parameters as to how women are treated, as to women being promoted according to merit, making sure those opportunities exist. Have a committee which focuses on harassment issues, because that's very important. That's one of the reasons that a lot of women either leave the workplace or are afraid to go into a job, or their families resist the fact that they should work in a place where there are both men and women. So these are things that men should focus on simply because they are in that role where they can make the decisions that are required. Involve women in those decisions because women are the ones who know what is required. So I think this is very important. The father's role, the brother's role, no doubt about it. I think those of us who have reached the positions we has been because our fathers said, go, do whatever you want as long as you don't put yourself at risk. Do what you have a passion for, and if I can help in any way, let me know. Otherwise, I won't interfere. My father did that, and I have 3 brothers and a sister, and all of us have done what we wanted to in life, and that's because we had a parent who knew both my mother and my father. So it's not just the father's responsibility. They were both very supportive, and they, I think, are hugely responsible for who we are today.
Yes, of course. Sadi, do you have anything to add? If not, then we can move on to the next question. You guys can also just raise your hands if anyone has a question in the audience, and then... Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, I would like to point out that 15 years back, in my company, there was 0 women. The elders had this theory that the woman's place when she's working and she has to go, how will we manage? So when we came in, we persuaded the elders, and this is the mindset change that has to be brought into all organizations. And as Jahara said, the men have to play and understand this for the women, for the respect. Just because you're having a baby doesn't mean that you need to give them that trust and that confidence, that let them see how they can manage the work and the family balance at home and at work, and give them the maternity leave and the space to manage their work. So when we had to convince our elders to give them that chance and fire them when you fall. So when they had this feel that okay, we can fire them if they don't work, and then they showed that they can start work and they can manage. So this mindset has to start from the top in private companies and multinationals everywhere, that you have to give them that chance to show their ability to manage the workload and to come out on top. So it has to be, the mindset change has to come in everywhere.
Yeah, no, of course. I definitely agree. Without mindset change, mindset shift, you won't see women moving to the top.
And I think organizations, as you said, have started doing that. They have even started giving parental leave to men so that they can help women after a baby is born, so that it's not primarily just the woman's responsibility. The father has to play a role as well. So I think organizations are beginning to understand that. And of course, daycares. So I now know men who bring in their children to daycare facilities, not just women. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, go ahead. Could we get the mic to the fourth row, lady in the gray, please?
Thank you. First of all, it was an honor to meet all of you, and it was truly inspiring for all of us, especially for women who have not been from a background where we've been encouraged so much, because I guess in our society, or I guess all over the world, it's actually institutionalized, this deterioration of our self-esteem. Like, we can say it goes to a very higher level. We've taught our students the Roman history and Greek history, where women were not allowed to vote. There were specific people who were not allowed to vote for a very long time, and women were one of them. I guess it's more easier to control the group of people, just because, it's better not to have, to hear their voice, because it's kind of inconvenient for the men. So, it's been a generation and generation, and now we've reached here where AI is helping us, and we have so much exposure that it's a bit too much for our, I won't say our ancestors, but our parents and our grandparents. The change is too much for them right now. They can't actually handle that too well. The same institutionalized mentality, I won't say it's just in the men, it's in the women. Obviously, it's ingrained in us. And even after we reach to a position where, we have goals, and, we finally reach that point where we have achieved something, we sometimes, or mostly actually, develop an imposter syndrome, like as if we're not good enough for that position. Finally getting there, but then that comes through when they're even in a, I guess, board, what do you call that? A meeting or something. That feeling of being an imposter, that actually reflects sometimes when they're speaking to a bunch of people. And I've heard men say that, women don't make good bosses because of their lack of confidence. It shows, it's not untrue, it is true. Because we ourselves don't believe in ourselves. I feel that there's a lack of some counseling that women should have as a group. There should be, like in a school, we have a student counselor, and different counselors are there. So shouldn't there be more counseling for women to make them, get rid of that ingrained inferiority? What do you think? Is there something that we've done for them so that they can, work on that?
Thank you very much for that question. I would want to take that because I'm associated with an educational institution. We have career counselors and student counselors. And I also do a part of career counseling as well. Definitely counseling is important. It plays a huge role, right? And it is about, and as Jahara mentioned, that Catalyst Labs does this, women in business group setting. Similarly, there should be settings where all girls get together, all women get together, maybe all the teachers can get together and form a committee where you can guide these girls and support them. I'm not saying that they won't feel this in a board meeting at any point in time, but at least there's a support group. Women should get together for business purposes. Professional networks of women should be there to support each other. I think that is something which is needed. And we, in our positions, can support making such groups and being part of those groups. I'm very vocal about it in the school which I am. I talk to girls, I encourage them, and I say that it's not easy. So a lot of these students, when they choose subjects and when they decide about careers, we're always talking about easy and difficult. Everybody has their own easy and difficult, right? I don't agree with an easy profession. There's nothing easy. Life is not easy. We should be prepared for it. How we navigate is what is important. One thing for girls, which is very important, is confidence. You should be able to look in the eye and talk with confidence. And that is the winner for you. Be it teachers, be it students, be it anybody. You are starting out in your professional career, stand in front of the mirror, talk to yourself, and develop that confidence. I think that is very, very important. But thank you for asking that question.
I think there are already groups that exist, women in business, women in professions, that you should join. And there are a lot of women now who are in senior positions. Reach out to them. Many of them are willing to mentor. Now, one thing that I have a strong objection to is this room is filled primarily with women. There should also be men there. I can see a few, but there should be men, because the change will only happen when we are all in this conversation together. We can't have side conversations amongst one group or the other, right? So I think that's extremely important, that we should have men within such conversations, because otherwise it's women talking. Even on the panel, other than Daniel, we don't have any men. I think and yesterday I had a strong objection to the AI discussion. There were 6 men. The future of work. Why? The future of work does not include women. I'm sorry, Beacon House has arranged an amazing conference, but these are things that we need to focus on, because it sends a clear message to people that, okay, the future of work is not female. And I thought it was, and Zartaj thought it was, and Alina thinks it is as well. So, and she is doing amazing work. So, how is it not?
Yeah. I'm just, for the interest of time,
I want to just add something. I want to add something. So, just because you were asking about this whole dynamic of not getting support, I want to tell you that, like, you know, maybe other people were privileged, but I wasn't privileged enough to have like support from my father or my brothers or my male people around me to be able to like really pursue my career. So they were always be like very worried about. I was the first woman in my whole family to ever go to a university and be in a co-education. It was a huge problem. It wasn't easy for me, but I fight for it. And I was like, I'm not going to do anything but to be in a university and study computer science. And that was my goal. Even if there was objection, there were taunts, there were a lot of problems, but I did fight for it. And without the support, I knew that I will find my support system. So my support system was in university. They were my friends, they were my biggest support system. So even if you don't have a support system at home, you will still be able to find a support system. And that's where the whole women and mentors come in. Because even if you don't see a role model in the field you are, or you want to go in, you will be able to find somewhere in the world. There will be people who are willing to support you. This is a digital world. You can reach out to anyone in the world. You want to see a field, you want to be somewhere, just reach out. But be confident that you can do it. And it's not going to be easy. Without the support system, it would be very easy if there's a men around us are supporting us. But even if they are not, I just want to tell you, you can do it. You can still do it.
Thank you, Sadia. We have 1 minute, so conscious of time, but there's one question that an audience member wanted, which is, what is a woman's role in supporting and celebrating other women who are achieving success? Because often we see women are pulling each other down. And I'd just like to add one answer to answer my own question, is that I feel, I'm not sure who asked this question, but I feel that there's not just one spot for a woman. We don't need to compete for the same one spot. There's multiple spots for women, right? And those spots are growing. So if one woman rises, you don't need to replace her to make your spot. You can, and I think it's not an abundance mindset that I feel I have experienced women having. Like, we should have an abundance mindset. There's enough spaces for all of us. Look at all the space that men fulfill, right? There's more than enough space that we can fill. Now we have 0 minutes, so all of you have 0 minutes to answer this question.
Okay,
I think board saying 0 minutes.
We should all celebrate women. I highlight and showcase as many women as I can, because I really feel happy that they're there and they've been able to achieve what they've been able to achieve. So I think it's a no-brainer. We should celebrate other women. It doesn't take away, it's no threat to us, right?
So yeah, I'm speaking at 0 minutes, okay? We're going into negative now. So I think just have a big heart and support each other. I think that's the only thing. I feel that as a nation, we lack this. Pakistanis don't support each other as well. I've seen that because I'm part of the international community, and I'm sure Jahara and Sadia also have been, and they must have felt that we as Pakistanis do not support each other as much, which we should. I think if we are secure in our own position, or if we are not, it's just about being happy about someone's achievement. And this can be your student, this can be anybody, a woman, and even men supporting women in this regard and celebrating their achievements. I think it plays a huge role. So I feel that it's just about having that, in your heart, a big heart. I always say, get happy for others, be happy for others, and support them. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, thank you.
Thank you for being a lovely audience. All the patience and all the support, the interactivity, I really enjoyed that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.